Okay, we're live. Awesome. So here we are again at the Cancer Support Community, and I'm Jessica Lewis, and I'm the founder of a company called Sculpt Your Life. And the reason why you see me scanning from side to side here is because there are a lot of people in the room today, which I love to have. So welcome Facebook viewers and welcome live peeps. And the cool thing is the three of them have never encountered it before. So we're going to really be able to take a deep dive into the really governing principle of Tai Chi Chuan, which is there's no such thing as bad Tai Chi Chuan. And the best way to do it is with the effort of no effort. So even worrying about if you're doing it right, number one, it's too much work. And number two, it doesn't matter, right? And yes, my company is Sculpt Your Life, and you can learn a lot more about me and the company. You could just Google it, spell it any way you want. In Delaware, there's lots of ways to spell Lewis. I happen to spell mine with an IS on the end, you know. And the governing principle, if you will, of my company and my work for the last 20 years is um, in addition to a Tai Chi Chuan instructor, I'm also a personal trainer and a certified nutritional counselor. So I kind of think of health and well-being as sitting on a three-legged stool. And you know how when you're sitting on a stool with three legs, you can shorten up one or even two of the legs like a lot sometimes and still sit there. But if you crack one off, you're going to fall over unless you have extraordinary balance. And that's a lot of work, right? So, the reason why I wear so many hats, though, is because I like to be able to meet people wherever they need to be met. You know, some people just don't like to eat healthy. That's just the way they roll. You know, and some people just don't like to exercise. And frankly, some people don't like to relax. So somewhere in the mix, I can work with anybody. But the truth is that this is really not just my opinion. This is scientific. This is evidence-based, what I'm about to say. You can reach and maintain any health and wellness goal, frankly, if you'll just move really well and eat really well and maybe most importantly of all, relax really, really well. And the reason why I feel so sure that that might be the most important leg is because it's been my own experience in my own pretty healthy life and my experience working with a lot of people over the last 20 years that folks can eat and move exactly the way I tell them to, but if they've got trauma or stress in their lives and they don't address it, at some point your health is just going to give way. So what are we doing here today? We're going to do something called Tai Chi Chuan. There's lots of Tai Chi practices in the world. If you Google that, you'll get like 50 hits. There's only one main distinction between them, though. There are those that fall into the category of what's known as a martial application. So it may look very slow and meditative, but if the hand kind of, for instance, slices by the eyes like in a sword-like gesture and the eyes follow the hand, it's because even though we're going real slow, theoretically there's like a really bad person coming at you from over there or a sword or something, right? And then there are the practices which are nothing other than evidence-based moving mindfulness practices. And spoiler alert, this is the only one. And if you translate the word Tai Chi Chuan into English, what you get is knowledge of the supreme ultimate. So you can tell right from the name of it. It's very, very different from other Tai Chi practices. Tai Chi, when most people say it, they don't realize they're often abbreviating the shorter version of the full name of martial practices is Tai Chi Chuan. And if you translate that into English, you get Supreme Ultimate Fist. So you can tell right there is a really big difference. Um, Again, one of the greatest things about it is the reason why I love it so much, because I actually have 5 different accreditations in various styles, is that there is no such thing as bad Tai Chi Chuan. So there's less stress on, you've got to do it a certain way. And you have to do it in a certain order. And you have to memorize this long, complicated choreography. That's the way a lot of the martial practices are. There are little moments of mindfulness actually built in between the movements, and some of them even have little moments of mindfulness built into the movements. And that's lovely in and of itself, because we all know mindfulness is good for you. But also, what's awesome about that is that you can change the order up depending on what you like, or maybe even just You showed me all 20 moves, Jess, but I only remember five. So just do those five. The research is really clear. As long as you spend 15 minutes or more a day doing this thing, you can really have some pretty dramatic results in your life. And that's not a lot of skin in the game, right? For some pretty big results. So let's just start, okay? So the first thing I want to show you is what position to put your body in when we're experiencing those little moments of mindfulness, okay? Those moments of motionlessness. That's another way to look at it. So if my feet were my hands and I could pick them up and show them to you real easily, you'd see they're kind of in a V. So just put your heels a little closer than your toes in whatever position feels good to you, depending on whether or not you used to be a dancer or you have bad hips. That might be different. I think you've already seen me because you're already doing rocking motion. That's pretty cool. Oh, so you know my friend Steve. He's the greatest. I love him. He's great. You have to say hi. He's a great teacher. So he came along after I was accredited, but I love it. Him and his wife. They're great. Okay, so we're going to put our feet in a V. Now, here's the most important thing. We want to find like a position for the tailbone so that the knees can naturally be very soft. And even more importantly, we want to be able to feel the weight spread all the way out to the outer rim of both your feet. So this is me standing normally. And this is me when I'm doing the rest position of Tai Chi Chi. I just sort of let my tailbone tuck under. I'm going to turn a little more sideways so the folks to the side of me can see. So the tailbone tucks under a little bit, and the knees just magically kind of slide forward slightly. And let me ask you all, when you do that, do you feel your weight spread all the way out to the outer margins of both your feet? Are you feeling it? Good. That's perfect. Good. So let's just take a moment to feel that for a moment. I always say, even if you walk out of here with nothing other than the ability to really feel your feet touching the floor, I've still helped you improve your health. Because how often during your life do you do that, right? And let's figure out what to do with the hands. I want you to just let your arms continue to hang down from the shoulders as easily as possible, wherever they want to be. And then all you have to do is lift the fingers. Yeah. So it's as if your palms are resting on something firm and horizontal. Like if you were sitting, they'd be resting on your legs, which is actually the way we do the rest position when you're sitting. Yeah, you can do this practice even if you're partially paralyzed. I work with people that were partially paralyzed. And now all we're going to do is just sort of check in with the body. We're going to take a few moments. What we're about to do is actually not Tai Chi Cha, but I like to do it at the beginning and end of both my of all my classes. Just go inside mentally with your mind's eye and notice whatever may be happening in there. That's all mindfulness is really, is paying attention to stuff you normally don't pay attention to, in the present moment and without judging yourself. And let's each pick a spot, I think probably best, somewhere south of the belly button to really focus our attention on mentally. And I'm going to, as the Buddhists would say, I'm going to call the bell. That's a fancy way of saying I'm going to ring it 3 times. And your whole job until I call you back is to just notice whatever you happen to notice about this spot somewhere south of the belly button. And let's begin. And if your mind wanders, all it means is you woke up today as a living, breathing human in 2023. Nothing is wrong with that. That's what minds do. Go ahead and let your attention come back to the class in the room, if it went anywhere. If it didn't, that's fine too. And since we have two complete newbies in the room, in addition to our experienced person, I'm actually not going to start with rocking motion. I'm going to start with some of the moves that have one foot way out there because I think they're a little easier to take on when you're completely, utterly new. All right, so remember we're going to do this thing as if it's the effort of no effort, which is alien in America. Great. And I'm going to mirror since I'm facing all of you. So if I move this leg, you can move your left one, but if you get your left and rights confused, that's fine. Okay. So let's start with one of the moves where the left foot is much farther out than the right. How are we going to get it out there without any effort? So just let your tailbone tuck a little bit more and let every drop of your weight flow into your right leg. And when your right leg is completely full, just extend your empty left knee. Yeah, and the heel just goes wherever it wants to go based on your height, right? And I'll tell you what, let's do push-pull. Bring the hands up in front of your shoulders, and we're going to let every drop of weight flow from the full leg into the empty leg, and then we're going to reverse it. So just copy me. Here we go. And back. It's like you're going to double high five me. I want to see your palms. And then bring the energy I just gave you back to you and turn your hands around. Yeah. Here, I'm going to face you. So you get that sense that we're coming towards each other and flowing back. Here we go. And we're only going forward till that rear leg empties out completely. And then we're flowing right back. The upper body kind of rides forward and back like a stack of Oreo cookies. You can think of your spine that way. It kind of looks like that if you think about it. Yeah. I think this is 9, so we're going to call it 9. And so we are our last one on this side. Just wait till all your weight's in the back leg, and all you got to do is stand up on it and float down. That's it. Just feel your body resting for a moment. Same position we started in, right? And now let's do the other side. So let your tailbone tuck and shift your weight all the way into your left leg. Let your empty right leg extend. Yeah, here we go. I'm going to turn away from you folks so you can see what I look like from the side. There's that upper body flowing forward like a stack of cookies. Can you probably see my front toe lifting here? You see that? And then my rear heel lifting. But I'm not lifting it. You don't need to use muscles. Just let the leg empty and it will peel itself. And let the leg empty and it will peel itself. Do you feel that? Yeah. Let's do one more and we're going to finish up this side. Wait till all the weight's in the back. And we're just going to stand up and take a moment to feel the body resting. How often in life do you do that? Okay, I'll tell you what, let's do around the platter. Let's do all the plattery kind of movements. I love them. They're all so similar and they're so easy. So we're going to let the tailbone tuck. We're going to let all the way flow into what's probably your right leg and let your empty left leg extend. Yeah. Just imagine you have a big serving platter right out in front of your heart, like a turkey platter, right? And put your hands near the back of it. I like to kind of cock my wrists, almost like there's a ball of energy under each hand and the balls are on the plate, right? So as we flow forward, let the back leg empty. We're going to flow, let the hands go out over the empty leg. So here we go. And back. Yeah. The cool thing about letting your upper body just float forward and back like a column is that it will push your hands. and it will pull them. And all you got to do is kind of turn the corner. It's really easy. And if it feels like your platter isn't 100% round, that's not the end of the world. Just make sure that it's continuous. Good. Nice. And let's do one more. Very nice. And to end it, we're just going to sort of float up and float down. And let's do the other side. Let your tailbone tuck. Let all your weight glide into your left leg. Let your right leg extend. Let's do a couple of moves with our hands here, and don't do anything else with your hands. I want you to see how easily your whole body can do the hands for you, okay? So as we go forward, the hands do too. And as you go back, the hands do too. Let's do that one more time. Just feel that. Yeah. You might feel more comfortable if the front toe is straight and the back toe is a little angled. Yeah, good. Here, I'm going to face you so you see what I'm saying. Good. Awesome. All right, this time we're just going to give a tiny little push out over the empty leg. A little push. And then just let the hands change directions without stopping. The arms don't have to extend completely. They have a tendency to kind of pull the upper body forward when they do. Just let them float. Yeah, nice. Does that feel better? Yeah. He's got a smile on his face. I take that as a sign. Very nice. Let's do one more. And let's flow back down to rest. Feel the body resting. Just taking a moment to feel the body not doing much on the outside. It's still flowing all around in there. Did you all know, or maybe you guys don't know, you know, when you're doing the moving portions of Tai Chi Chuan, you're moving the energy that always lives in your body more easily and in a bigger way. And then when you do the quiet, motionless parts of Tai Chi Chuan, all that energy you just picked up settles down in the marrow of your bones. And I don't think it's a coincidence that real regular practitioners tend to get really good bone density. But your bone marrow is your immune system too. So that's a big deal. Let's do a round the platter variation. So it's exactly like the one we just did, only with a tiny little change to the hands. All right, so we're going to let the tailbone tuck, and we're going to let all the weight shift into your right leg, and let your empty left leg extend, and the hands come back up here. And they start to move, just like they did a second ago, but watch my hands. There's going to be a tiny little difference in the way we do it. Here we go. We just lift the fingers, and then we drop them down again. So the heels of the hands stay on the platter the whole time. But at some point, right in front of the shoulder here, the fingers just lift and then they drop. It's like you're holding a ball between your hands for about a third of the plate. Nice. Here, I'm going to face you so you can mirror me. Right in front of the shoulder on the same side of the body as the sticking out leg. So your hands are probably moving clockwise right now. You can do it the other way, but it may not feel as good. It's not wrong. Yeah, there's no such thing as wrong Tai Chi Chuan, but it might feel better if you do it the other way. That's all. There's good and there's gooder. That's really what it is. Let's do one more. And we're just going to rest. We're going to do the other side. And just feel it in your body. You'll know the right way, or you'll know the way that works best. Let's put it that way. I think the greatest gift, let the tailbone tuck. I'll talk once we get moving. Let all your weight shift to the left. Let your right leg extend. Yeah. One of the greatest gifts I ever got from Tai Chi Chuan is I used to really struggle with the disease of perfectionism. And I was often harder on me than I would ever be on anybody else. Like if I treated other people the way I often treated me, I don't think I'd have any friends. And that has loosened up. Yeah. 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 And we don't even need to step back. We're just sort of rocking with one foot out. Yeah. And we're going to do one more. This is 9. We usually do 9 with each foot out. And then we rise up on the back foot and pull the front foot in. And take a moment to feel your body resting. This is nice. See, this is perfect proof we can change all the order. It doesn't really change your experience, right? It might, but it doesn't hurt your experience. Yeah, there you go. Let's do pulling in the energy, which is also a platter-ish movement, I like to think. All right, so we're going to let all the weight sink and shift into your right leg so your empty left leg can extend. And then your hands are going to come up under here. But the difference between my class and Steve's is his has a curriculum and mine does not, right? So we're going to let the hands flow out over whichever leg is sticking out. In this case, it's your left. So your hands are going to flow clockwise, probably. I have to think about it. I'm not great with a mirror. Yeah. If you want to get the best energy flow, that's the way you want your hands to flow. It takes a lot of practice to be able to comfortably, easily teach uh, open practices where people just come and they go. I prefer curriculum, but I teach what I am called to teach. You might like my Mount Cuba class if you like the curriculum. That's a pretty place to do Tai Chi Chuan. 7:30 in the morning on Thursdays, Mount Cuba. One more with this foot out. That's a really nice class. And rise. I tend to have a lot of overlaps with Steve's students in that class. Yeah. Let's do the other side. And I'll tell you about the visualization with this one. This one's cool. So we're going to let the tailbone tuck. We're going to let all the weight shift into the left leg. Yep. So the right leg can get out there effortlessly. And the hands go up. Yep. Under the plate. And here we go. This move is called pulling in the energy. And because of that, we tell ourselves a little story in our heads while we're doing it, that you're pulling in energy from the most distant star, which is funny because there isn't just one, into all the nooks and crannies of your body through each one of your fingertips, like you have 10 little straws. Yeah. The cool thing about doing this one outside is you can feel the sun in your hands, and then you really buy the intention. Oh, maybe I'm more like a plant than I thought, you think. Here's one more. Ah, nice. Okay, let's do bass drum, and then I think maybe we'll get into some of the other movements that are forward, backward, but don't just have one foot out there. Okay, I love bass drum. It's probably my first favorite move. Have y'all ever seen a marching band, like a high school marching band? Right. There's always a kid in the back with a huge bass drum strapped to their shoulders, right? So just remember that image in your mind, right? So how are we going to do bass drum? We're going to start by feeling both the feet on the ground. It's always a great place to start. Yep, let's sink and shift all the way into the right leg so the empty left leg can extend. And the fingertips are going to come to the back of the drum. There's a steel rim around the drum, so your fingertips are on the steel rim. And as you glide forward, the hands are going to go down around the bottom edge of the drum. And as you glide back, they come back across the top. Nice. I'm going to turn sideways to the brand newbies here so they can see the shape of the drum. See if you see it. I think I already told you all that this practice is so adaptive. You can do it in a chair. You can do it intentionally if you're unable to move. The only difference is when you're doing it seated, the movements get a little smaller because there's less space between your mouth and your knees when you're sitting down, right? So this move looks a little more like bass tambourine when you're seated. It's okay. Let's do one more. And then just stand up on the full leg. Let it kind of pull everything together for you. And let's do it on the other side. So we're going to sink and shift. You all stick out your right legs now. And the hands come right back here. Good. Here we go. And back. The most important ways to do Tai Chi Cha are all basically the governing principles of the universe, if you think about it. Everything in the universe is in constant motion. It's usually moving in a circular pattern. Cyclical, that's the word I was struggling for. And of course, the arc of history is extremely long. So we can't always see that everything moves in cycles, but it does. And because the arc of history is long, everything also moves very slowly and actually quite smoothly. Let's do one more. And we're going to rest. Nice. Another really important aspect of the way the universe really works best is everything in the universe is in constant flux between expansion and contraction. Everything is. That's how the Big Bang Theory happened. And so when you're doing Tai Chi Cha, your body is also in constant, like integrated flux between expansion and contraction. So, one leg will expand while the other one contracts. The belly will expand. We call that the dantian. It expands while other parts of your body contract. It's really easy to follow once you get to know the moves. Right now, I know you're just trying to figure out, where do my hands go? But over time, it becomes very, very clear. So let's do rocking motion. It's the first movement. Many people consider it a warm up to the whole practice, but lots of people think it's kind of complex. So I don't always like to show it, right at the beginning. It's going to have that same, I'm just sort of floating forward and backward feeling to it, or I'm kind of rocking forward and backward feeling to it, but your legs are going to be right next to each other, right? So if you feel unstable while we're doing it, I just suggest to you, you might be working harder than you have to. If you can take it down a notch, that probably will fix it. Or if we go slower, that will probably fix it. And if it still feels wonky, you can either fake it till you make it or just do it in your head. How about that? Okay, so how are we going to do this thing? I'm going to show you how. First, let's just feel the body resting. And we want the left leg to just move a little bit out to the side as easily as possible. So we're just going to kind of shift away from it. And then we're going to turn both toes forward now. That's going to make this a lot easier if both toes are forward. And now we want all the weight to go to the back of the body. So all you got to do is lengthen the knees and put the hands back there. Yeah, facing forward. So in this move, the hands face the direction that your weight is shifting. I'm going to turn sideways so you two can see me more easily, okay? You don't need to change. Now just copy me. Here we are in the back. And we're just going to let the knees get a little softer as we shift to the front, and then we're going to let the knees lengthen. And then we're going to let them be soft as we shift to the back. And we're going to let them lengthen. And that whole soft knee, lengthened knee, there's an expansion contraction thing, right? That's what really is the magic ingredient here. Because it lets the body lift up slightly and then drop down. You don't have to use any muscles. And the hands just come along for the ride. As you move forward, so do they. As you move back, so do they. Sometimes I like to think of my arms as like willow branches. You know how they'll just simply blow in the breeze? Yeah. If you want, you can even just imagine you're sitting in a glider on your front porch and a little puff of wind comes along and it's actually moving you. That'll really take the work out of this shift. Nice. All you really have to do is change direction for the hands. The body does the rest. Now, I know we generally do 9, but I like to just do them until everybody looks like they're having a good time. Let's keep going. I'm going to face you. Nice. You guys look really soft. Let's do 2 more. And here's our last one. We're just going to kind of float forward and over to the side. And that's how we're going to land back in the rest position without working it. Just feel your body resting. Let's do the other warm-up move. We call it bird flaps its wings, but it's not a condor. It's like a sparrow. So the whole wing flap is going to happen from the elbows down. It's going to be the easiest thing you can't even imagine. I'm going to turn sideways so you guys can see the shift a little bit more easily. We're just going to put the hands close together. It's kind of like, you know, when we were 3 and you learned how to pray, your hands were like this. And you're just going to put a little space between them. And then you just drop them down here. Yeah, good. And now all you're going to do is let your weight sink a little bit and shift to the front of your feet, to the balls of your feet and your toes. The belly will probably expand, but even if it doesn't, the knees will, and you're just going to let the hands kind of get out of its way. So here we go. And then we come back. It's really easy. Now this time we're going to draw a circle in the air. Nice. That's one set of 3. We're going to do 2 more sets just like that. So let's sink and flip the wings. And I want you to notice where your fingertips land when you flip the wings. Because that's where you're going to start and end your circle. Nice. I always say this is the only time you can flip someone the bird and it's not a rude gesture. Yeah. Here's the circle. And now we're just going to flow back down to rest here. Let's just float back down. Feel the body resting. Nice. You probably already noticed that in every one of the Tai Chi Chuan moves, there's at least one body part drawing a circle in the air. Every single move we've done so far, there's been that, right? So let's do a couple of moves where the circles are very noticeable. It's almost like you're uh, unzipping a jacket with 2 overlapping circles, and then you kind of zip it back up, and then you make a big circle in front of the body. And then we'll do some side-to-side moves, okay? So we always say there's no hard and fast rule about doing them in this order. This is just suggested order. But there's 2 exceptions to that rule. These 2 in particular, daughter on the mountaintop, daughter in the valley, they're sort of like non-identical twin sisters. So if we do one, we should do the other. And down here, when you get down to light at the top of the head, light at the temple, you should always follow that with joyous breath. You can do joyous breath by itself, but you shouldn't do this one without this one after. But we probably won't get to that today. So let's do the daughters, as we like to say in the Tai Chi Chuan community, the daughters. And they're both moves in which one foot is way further out than the other. So you already know how to do that. So here we go. We're going to let the tailbone tuck so that empty left heel can get out there. And you're just going to turn your palms over. Good. So as you flow forward, the hands are going to come up almost like you were going to pray or clap. And then they miss each other and they flow down. This movement is a great example of why this practice has no martial application. I want you to watch something. This is the way we don't do Tai Chi Cha, like that, right? Because those would be crossed swords. It's actually a way to disarm a weapon. We do it like this, with the fingers facing up to the sky. Good. I'm going to face sideways so you can see what I'm doing here. And you can see the side of my hand, right? Because when our hands are in this position, apparently the energy flows more copiously and more effectively up and down the huge meridians in your arms. That's why they were like a Nazi about having what we call an open palm. Let's do two more. Last one. And you take a moment to rest. If you think about it, in every single Tai Chi Chuan move, that the hand is what we call in an open palm position. Right now it's open. Up here it's open. Right? Here it's open. Right? If you don't know what that looks like, just put your hands around your face very loosely. This is the way you touch somebody you love, right? You should count. And then don't change the position of your hands, just take them away from your face and you'll see the open palm. And this actually is a position all the ancient spiritual practices incorporate. Like you see a priest up at the altar like this, right? It's a very loving and accepting position. Let's do the other side of daughter on the mountaintop, and I'll mirror you again. So we're going to stick that right foot out there this time. And we're going to turn the palms over. There's the open palm, right? And if you're looking at me from the front, you can see how it almost looks like I'm unzipping my jacket. Can you see that? Yeah. It's like you're tracing two of the four circles in an Audi logo, and they overlap in the middle. Unzip the jacket. Nice. If you're very body conscious, you probably notice that when you flow forward, your midsection expands, your dantian expands. And that's why the hands are generally moving out of its way. But if you don't feel that, nothing is wrong. Just fake it till you make it. One day you'll feel it. Last one. Good. And rest. And we have to do the other non-identical twin sister, right? So we're going to let the left leg get out there first. And we're going to bring the hands up here. Open palm. Same position as bass drum, only facing out, right? And as you flow forward, the hands come together and then they rise. And as you flow back, they come back down to the bottom. Here, I'm going to face you so you sort of see how I'm zipping back up the jacket. Can you see that? And then they come back down to the bottom. Nice. So there's still that upper body expansion thing happening when you flow forward. And the hands are just getting out of its way. Up. And as it contracts, they come back down. Up. It's almost like you're picking some lovely fluid in a cup up and bringing it up to your mouth. And then bringing them back down to fill up again. Let's do one more. Nice. And take a moment to feel the feet. Let's do the other side. So we're going to place that right foot out there. See how much easier it gets. At first it's like, how do I do that? Now it's no problem, right? Here we go. It's a bit farther for the hands to go this first repetition because they start up high. We always say, daughter on the mountaintop, the hands start low and go high. And in daughter in the valley, the hands start high and go low. There's little memory cues we have in the Tai Chi community. All these little sayings. And just notice this big circle we're drawing here because we're going to use that in the next move very prominently. Big circle here. And here's one more. And as all the weight flows back into the back leg, we're just going to stand up. Nice. Taking a moment to feel the body resting. Okay, y'all are ready to do side to side moves. Some people think they're a little more complex. The movement principles are the same. How do we move in Tai Chi Chuan? You already know, right? First of all, we don't judge ourselves if there's nothing wrong, right? The second is smooth, steady, slow, circular. A little expansion, contraction thrown in for good measure, double prizes. So that's what we're going to do. Only instead of going this way, we're going to go this way. So there's only going to be one tiny little extra added in order for that to happen, okay? You're going to find it easy. Bob already knows how to do it. He's halfway there. Okay, feel the feet touching the floor. That's a very good place to start. Both of your feet in equal measure touching the floor. The whole of both foot, the whole of both feet touching the floor. So I'm going to move this way. It is my left, but we're going to pretend it's the right because that's the direction we're going to start in, okay? We're going to let the tailbone tuck. We're going to let all the weight shift to the right. But now here we're going to let the whole upper body rotate a little bit to the right also. Good. You're going to know that that happened because the shoulders are going to pivot a little bit. All right, so the hand that's in back, just lift it up like you're going to wave. The hand that's in your other back. That other hand. Yes, that's it. Yeah. Yeah. Whichever butt cheek went backwards, that's the backhand. Yeah. And then just cover it with the other hand. There we go. It's like you have the ball between your hand, okay? Now your left legs probably feel empty. So you're just going to let them slide away to the side, heel first. Good. So now we're going to let all the weight flow from the full leg into the empty leg, and it's going to pull the hands. Here we go. Down and back. We're chasing the same circle we did a moment ago in Daughter in the Valley, only because we're shifting from side to side, it looks more like an oval than a circle now, right? Normally we would do 3 of these, but because I want you all to get a nice muscle memory for this, we're going to do 9. Now I want you to use the effort of no effort here. Keep both your feet on the ground. Although this will improve your golf swing and your tennis game, you don't need to swing it and use those kind of muscles today. Nice. In fact, you can just let your upper arms hang down from the shoulders. Almost all the move is done from the elbows down and from the hips down. Here's our last one. So as you head into your left leg, just stand up on it. Good job. That was a 10-point landing, all 3 of you. If we were Olympic gymnasts, you'd all get the 10s, right? Now we're going to go back the other way. Okay. Let your tailbone tuck. Let all your weight glide into your left leg. Let the upper body rotate a little bit to the left. You're going to put up your left hand. That's the one in the back. You're going to cover it with your right. There's your ball. Let your empty right leg just sneak away from the body. And here we go. Both feet down. That's going to help keep you from using more muscles than necessary. Yeah. It, I think we're all old enough to remember Lost in Space. Do you remember that show? Remember Robbie the robot? He did everything like this. That's all we're doing. The upper arms can hang down, right? You feel how easy that is? Yeah. Nice. Because I'm also a master personal trainer, so there's a rule in physiology that if your elbows get too far away from your sides, you're using your shoulders. If you just let your upper arms hang, you're doing this with the effort of no effort or as close to it as you can get. And this is our last one. So as your right leg fills up, you're just going to stand up on it and you're going to rest. There's smiles in the room. That's a good sign. Okay, so let's fast forward all the way down to passing clouds. I'm getting it all mixed and matched here today. But I love teaching passing clouds right after um, carry the ball to the side because it's the same movement, only instead of hands together, it's going to be hands independent. So who here saw the Karate Kid? I'm not going to lie to you. That's how I got into hard martial arts when I was younger. I love the Karate Kid. Wax on, wax off. Only there's no martial application in Tai Chi Chuan, so it's even easier than that. Okay? All right, so we're going to do it one hand at a time. You already know how because you did this, right? But I bet your arms don't know how to do it by themselves. So we're going to do it one arm at a time, and then we'll blend it together. And if you get confused, you have two choices. You can be upset about being confused, and I almost guarantee you it won't help. Or you can get really relaxed and you'll probably get less confused, but either way, you'll have a good time. And that's the most important thing, okay? All right. Okay, so let's do passing clouds. And to Bob, who I believe has some Tai Chi background, it's going to look familiar because every Tai Chi practice in the world has some version of this. Okay. Ours is easier though. Just saying. All right, so we're going to let the tail untuck a little bit. We're going to let all the weight shift to your left leg this time. We're going to let the upper body rotate to the left, and that's why the left hand goes up. Just leave your right hand here until I tell you, okay? Let your empty right leg sneak out to the side. You already know how to do that. And as you shift that way, it's going to pull this hand. So here we go. We're just going to do a couple rotations with just your left hand. Nice. It's the same thing you did when you were doing Daughter in the Valley. You know how when the hands came up to your mouth and then they just turned out as they floated down? I always say any two movements in Tai Chi Chuan, I can tell you a whole bunch of things they have in common, even if they don't look like they have. And down here, your hands are just like swishing through something thick. You can even think of it as chocolate syrup. And then up here, you get to lick your fingers, right? Let's do one more with this hand, and then we're going to let this one rest. But we're going to keep shifting to your right. Up goes the right hand. And let's do it with the right hand only now until it gets the hang of how to do it by itself. Keep both your feet on the ground. That'll keep you from using too many muscles, believe it or not. Nice. We're just shifting. We're just shifting. That's all we're doing. We're just shifting continuously. Yeah. All right, this is going to be our last one with your right hand. So just let it rest. But we're going to go back towards your left. And here comes together. Remember the two rules if you get confused. Choose the second one, okay? Are you ready? We're going to let the left hand get pulled in. And as we move back to the left, it's going to pull in the right hand. Now just copy me. Look how as you're shifting, it'll carry the hands for you. Feel that. And then all you got to do is switch them. It's so easy, right? I mean, you don't have to stack them up on top of each other, but it can happen that way quite naturally, and it makes it easier, right? A little bit? Yeah. Y'all look good. I know there's no such thing as bad Tai Chi Chuan, but you guys look good. Yeah. So we call this passing clouds. Every single Tai Chi practice in the world has some version of this move, and they all have the word cloud in them. Some of them are wave hands like clouds, some of them are cloud hands. This one is called passing clouds. It's the most recognizable Tai Chi Chuan move. Everybody seems to think it looks familiar. Yeah, this is like familiar. Oh, Bob was saying something. I have horrible hearing. It's very You can feel how this is a moving mindfulness practice when you're doing this move, right? Yeah. Let's do one more set. We normally only do 9, but everybody loves it so much I like to hang out here. And then when one leg gets full, you just stand up on it. It's usually your left leg. The only sort of hard and fast rule in Tai Chi Chuan, which we actually don't announce because it's not written anywhere, is whichever direction you started from, you end by going back that way. I don't know why it's not written down. It's the only rule I can think of that doesn't have an exception, you know. All right, so since you like that one, in particular you found it meditative, I'm going to show you another one which many people experience as a little complex, but I think it's actually pretty easy, and it's in many ways just like the one you just did, only instead of moving side to side, you're going to move front to back. Okay, but it's going to have that one hand is up, the other is down kind of feel to it, and many people find it's very lovely. All right, so feel your body resting. We'll probably call it a day after that. But you know what? We got through, and we will have gotten through at least 12, maybe 13 moves out of 20. That ain't bad for two of these folks never having seen it before, right? All right. So let your tailbone tuck a little bit. Let all your weight shift into your right leg. You want to let your left leg just flow out there. Because your left leg's out, your left hand's going to come up to your shoulder. Turn the other over. Yeah. So whenever a hand comes forward in this move, it's going to come forward from the shoulder. And whenever a hand moves back, it's going to move back about like this. So just feel what it feels like to have one hand here and one hand here. Okay. And we're going to let all the weight flow from the full leg into the empty leg. You probably already figured that out. But we're also going to let the belly button kind of rotate from side to side. So I'm going to try not to over talk here. Just copy me. Let your belly button flow away from this hand as it goes forward, and it will do some magical things with this elbow. So here we go. Yes. And then back. The belly button's flowing away from the forward reaching hand. Yes. So with all the Tai Chi Chuan moves, there's like 100 ways you can remember how to do them. Whichever one makes sense to you is right for you. But the one thing I've noticed seems to make sense to a lot of people is whichever leg you're flowing into on this move, that's the hand that's coming forward. And if you pretend your belly button is an eyeball, like the little round monster in Monsters Inc., you know, he has one eye. You remember that guy? Mike? So let the eyeball turn away from the hand that's coming forward and follow the elbow that's going back. And that's where the magic happens. Let's do 2 more, and I'm going to turn sideways, which may help. Last one. Good job. And as you flow back towards the middle, you're just going to let the hands catch up to each other, and you're going to rest. Good. Nice. Very good. And a lot of people say this move feels familiar to them because almost everybody, even if you don't know how to swim, knows how to dog paddle. So there's that thing happening with the arm where, yeah, but it's less like swimming because number one, there's none of that I'm going to drown thing happening here. But also swimming, is work. You have to slice through the water with like sword-like fingers, right? So it's more like my hand is floating forward, like I'm going to high five you. And then I just let it drop down and carry back. Like I'm carrying a tray of cookies, right? I'm going to turn to the side. I think it might make more sense. And actually, we call it working the pulley. So, those old-fashioned clotheslines that have a pulley on each side with a string. With me turned sideways, you may see my fingers running along the string. Okay, so there's a pulley in front and behind each of your arms. There's two pulleys in the body when you're working the pulley, the movement. Okay, so here we are. I'm not going to mirror you. I think it might mess you up with me turning sideways. Feel your body resting. Let's let the tailbone tuck, shift into the left leg so the right leg can extend. And that's why the right hand comes up, the left hand turns over. As you flow forward, let your belly button eyeball turn away from the forward reaching hand or turn towards the backward moving elbow. Yeah. And see if you see my fingers tracing the two strings on the old-fashioned clotheslines. Can you see it? Right here, they're tracing. And then they just follow the curve of the pulley. One hand comes down, the other comes up. So if you think about it, the turning of the body is actually moving the hands most of the time. Here and here. And all you have to do is bring the top hand down and bring the bottom hand up. Let's do one more. And as you're flowing back to rest, you're going to just drop down into the soles of both your feet. Ah, very nice. Okay, let's end our practice with cosmic consciousness pose. I always say there's 20 movements in this practice, but in reality it's 19 moves and one pose. It's like the Tai Chi Chuan version of yoga, standing like a tree pose, or Qigong actually has a standing like a tree pose. Okay, so, and I never mirror it because we only do it on one side and it feels too weird for me to mirror it. So I'm just going to describe it to you. So if your heels aren't touching, normally you might want them to touch now. It might be easier for you to do this thing. Feel your feet touching the ground the way we normally do in rest. And then if you can do this without shifting your weight, that's even better. Just pick your left heel up and rotate a little and drop it down on your right ankle. Yeah. So the right leg's a little bit bent. And all of your weight is in the whole right foot and the ball of your left. You guys look good. It's perfect, actually. And then the hands rise up till they're about shoulder height. The fingertips overlap. And if you want to get real technical about it, the left fingers are closer to your body than the right. And people say, what do I do? I'm like, oh, you can kind of look at your fingers and also look at everything else at the same time. It's kind of an interesting perspective. Mostly it's just a good opportunity to explore what it feels like to be a tree. Feel your roots going down through your feet. Maybe feel the energy that you're always floating through. You just don't know it all around. And then let your body flow right back down to rest. And I hope you don't mind. We're going to run the tiniest bit over today. Stay right where you're at. I'm going to get my singing bowl. If you feel comfortable closing your eyes, go ahead and do so. And just notice a spot inside your body, maybe the same spot we took a closer look at the beginning of practice. while I call the bell for just a few seconds. Here we go. Go ahead and let your attention come back to the class. And I don't know about you, but I thought that was awesome. So again, my name is Jessica Lewis, and the name of my company is Sculpt Your Life. You can find me so easily. I've been told by the Google experts I have great search engine optimization, whatever. Spell it any way you like. If you don't mind, if you two want to stay just for a couple more moments and give me your email addresses, and I will send you links to my website where you can watch some pretty good videos, I've been told. They're used in the Tai Chi Chuan community for training purposes. It's awesome for balance. I'm just going to turn off the live stream. Let me do that real fast. Then we can chitty chat.